Okay, Mary, we're in my new Monarch Way station that just got planted in the fall of 2022, and then I replanted some plants in August of 23.
So, what do you have to do for these in order to overwinter them?
I'm not going to do anything. They're on their own.
Is that the same with your first planting? Did you do anything special with them? Because they're beautiful.
Nothing, I don't do anything in the fall. I will probably take some seed heads off and disperse out in my, where I've got some big blue stem, other native grasses growing. And I started a bee pollinator plot, and so I'll broadcast some of those on and hope that I get some catches there. But in the fall, it's pretty much on their own.
So then what about in the spring?
Well, in the spring, that's when I do my maintenance. So my first one that we were at previously, I will just come in and cut them all down. I just take all the dead foliage and everything off. And I don't burn it or anything. I usually throw it back out in some trees on some property that I have, hoping that there's a few seeds there that'll catch and, just start growing. And I cut them down and that's it. At that same time, then I'll throw on some fertilizer in the spring.
Do you have to worry about critters at all with everything planted out here in the open and there's no fence around?
Oh yeah, this is kind of a deer station too, going back and forth. So I have seen where the deer have stepped and made additional holes in the weed mat, but I can't do a thing about that. I'm not going to put a fence up or anything. There's so many deer because I'm close to the river.
How about rabbits?
Well, I have a dog and I have some cats, and I don't see many rabbits. I don't think they stand a chance with my dog out and about. So I haven't had any problem with that at all. I don't in my other gardens either.
What is this area next to this new planting?
This is a bee pollinator area, and I had bought, like you can find anything, there's seed for bee pollinators. And this was planted about maybe 3 weeks ago, so the seed is just starting to come up. And that's got grasses and a few flowers and stuff in it also. I'm hoping that from this area here, something will blow into there. And then if I take seed heads off my original one and just scatter them about. And the other thing I did is, a lot of times you go to a hort show or state fair or a spring show and people are giving away little packets of native seed. Well, you pick them up, and I kept those for years, so I don't know how good the germination was. But then when this was planted, we added that to that. So I'm not sure what's going to grow there. I'm just hoping it turns green, and there again, I hope it doesn't get too weedy.
Yeah, because you don't have a mulch on that one for now.
No, that's on its own. But I've been watering this area, and so this gets watered at the same time. So, and now we're going in hopefully the cooler part of the fall. And anytime you seed any lawn or anything, you want to get it seeded before the middle of September because you want to have as much growth as possible before it freezes up. So a lot of people think they should wait till September, October, and that's, in my world, that's not the way you should do it. Get it in so it gets good growth before freeze up.
So if other people are interested after seeing the show in doing a Monarch Way station, what kind of advice would you have for them?
Well, I would definitely use the weed mat because it's competition for the native plants. I feel if you're going to go through all the work and the money buying the plants, you want to have good results. And that weed mat's going to keep the weeds away so that's less competition. I guess I never do anything in small proportions. So it's like making soup. Why make a small pot when you can make a big pot? But when I plant too, I didn't want to start out small. I just didn't even think about that. That was the size of my garden down there in the first one, and this one, I didn't do the whole thing because this was really a big spot. And I can always plant natives into that bee pollinator. If I don't get a good catch, I can always add a few plants here and there.
What other things have you done to benefit the pollinators and the wildlife here in your place?
Behind us, Mary, is, I think it's around 7-8 acres, and that's all been planted into natives. And we finally got it burned this spring. I hired someone to do it because it's hard to coordinate. You know, if you need enough help, you got to have a water source. You don't want it on a windy day. And I had a lot of flowers out there, and this spring I did see some flowers, but the big blue stem has just taken over. It's a good stand of big blue stem, but I hope to see more flowers in the spring. But that, and I probably won't burn that again for another 4 or 5 years.
Well, and it looks to me like you have some trees planted out here too.
Yeah, I've got some pear trees, 3 pear trees, and I've only got basically like 1 1/4 apple tree. The windstorm last spring was tough on my apple trees, but I'm hoping to get some planted again next spring. So it's a nice area for wildlife and the birds, and there's some trees that have berries on them. So it's kind of a little wildlife haven down here.